Gersonzero here, and welcome to my annual E3 impressions video. There's a lot to talk about today. In fact, so much to talk about, I had to take notes because there's quite a bit of things here that I wasn't expecting. Before I get into my thoughts, I just want to make something clear. In my opinion, seeing how Microsoft or the Xbox division is handling the Xbox brand has made me realize that Xbox is changing. Whether it's for the best or the worst is subjective, but one thing is for sure is they are trying to have a nice variety of games in their lineup. Let's get into it. They opened up with showing the Scorpio. Anyone who's been keeping in touch has already known that the Scorpio was the code name for its project. And the Xbox One X is the official name for the new console. Now, it's not a new generation, alright? I guess you can say it's like the PlayStation 4 Pro, just a little bit more souped up. This is where confusion comes in my opinion, with the name Xbox One X. I feel like that parents who are getting an Xbox One X for their kids on, say, Black Friday or Christmas shopping in general, what if they go to a Best Buy employee and say, hey, I want to get an Xbox One S, and the Best Buy employee goes, a S or a X? And then the parent goes, which one's cheaper? Yeah, I feel like double the price is a little bit weird. I was expecting a $500 price tag for the Xbox One X, but I didn't expect such a huge gap between its base model, which is the One S, or the One, and the X. I don't know what to think about that. I do know that the Xbox One X does look pretty cool, and it's pretty powerful, from what we've been shown, right? I'm also happy that it's not called the Scorpio. Forza 7. Haven't played a Forza game since 4. And the last Forza game that I've actually played, 3. I bought 4 thinking that I would enjoy it, but so many games came out that year that I just didn't play it. And 7 looks great. It's not my cup of tea. I think I'm over racing games in general. I used to buy them quite a bit, but now I just don't have the time. They showed off a brand new Metro game. Now, I own Metro 20 whatever, or 21 whatever, and I also own Metro Last Light. I got them both on a flash sale on PSN, but I have not played them, so I don't really have much input. I will tell you this, that was not gameplay. It just looked so fake. Then they showed off Assassin's Creed Origin. Last Assassin's Creed game that I've completed was 3. I bought 4 when I bought my PlayStation 4 at launch, and I did not like it at all. It strayed too far off the Assassin's Creed path, which can be considered a good thing, but I'm not really a pirate guy. I'm more of a ninja guy, and I just couldn't do it. Origin is probably going to be the game that I buy after so many Assassin's Creed games that I've just missed out on. But Origin seems to be more of an RPG. Got loot, which looks pretty awesome. Although the combat looks a little rough, it does look different than past Assassin's Creed games. Did I see bosses in that gameplay trailer? Because if there's bosses, that's gonna be awesome. Then they showed off some game that's been pretty popular on Twitch. PlayerUnknown Battleground, which is basically Battle Royale, the game. Watching some streams and gameplay videos of the PC version, this Xbox One version looks pretty good. Usually when you see a console port of games, they don't really transition too well. And this one looks pretty good. They showed a game called Deep Rock Galactic. It's basically Strafe meets Spelunky, Starship Troopers. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, it looked nice, very colorful, and it seems to have this co-op thing going for it. And I think it's an indie game. It sure looks like one. They followed that up, whoops, they did the K2. This one looks really good. And then they showed some game there that I don't understand why it was even on stage. I guess it's to show off their new streaming service called Mixer. It's basically Hunger Games, the game. It looks so weird. I found it strange to show this off when you guys have PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I don't know. They're unifying all versions of Minecraft into one game. Well, one online environment. Massive update for Minecraft where it creates this new online environment where everyone can play no matter the console or version you have, which is pretty cool. Anyone who's been with me for some time know that I'm an anime fan. I'm not as hardcore as I used to be, but I did grow up on anime. Anyone who did grow up on anime, it's kind of hard to find someone who hasn't seen Dragon Ball Z. I cannot believe that they have a good Dragon Ball Z fighting game coming out called Dragon Ball FighterZ with a Z. It's made from the developer of Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, Axis Works, and it looks so stylistic. Oh my goodness. Everyone's been saying this online that they canceled their pre-order for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite because Dragon Ball FighterZ looks to be the Marvel game that we've been wanting to play since Marvel 2. And I would have to say I agree, because this game looks really good. And the graphics, wow, it just looks like an anime, man. I'm definitely getting it day one. And then they showed some MMO game that I've never heard of, and I don't care. Then they showed a Blade Runner-esque game. I thought it was a video game tie-in to the new Blade Runner movie that's coming out. An indie version, kind of like what they did with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game and the movie. But it wasn't. It's called The Last Night. I'm surprised it's not called Blade Runner. Then they showed some trash-looking game called The Artful Escape. Code Vein, basically Tokyo Ghoul of the game, meets Dark Souls. I've seen the trailer prior to this E3 announcement, but Bandai Namco, when it comes to their RPGs, I just can't do it. This game looks like it's running off the same engine as the Tales games, and that engine is the reason why I haven't bought a Tales game recently. But it could be cool, it could be cool. They showed Sea of Thieves. It's this pirate game from Rare Games, or Rareware. And it looks pretty cool. Props to Rare for actually making a good-looking game. And did you see the water? Oh my god, the water looks incredible, man. And then they showed some disco bot game called Tacoma. Pass! Probably the best looking game on the show. Super Lucky's Tale. A game that gave a nice middle finger to Yooka-Laylee. Yooka-Laylee I didn't play. From the gameplay that I've seen, didn't look interesting at all. And Super Lucky's Tale looks beautiful. Oh my god, did you see the animations? It kind of looks like those kids CGI movies, like the Peanuts movie, Captain Underpants. And the platforming looks really solid, and the characters are so cute. You know, it's weird, and this is why I say Xbox is changing, because I feel like if this was the 360, this would have not happened. Like, looking at that trailer, it put a smile on my face. And Cuphead was then shown, another great looking title, with an actual release date, and I'm pretty sure this is it for the game. I think it's actually gonna come out. It looks amazing. Like, when you see some of the backgrounds are just as jaw-dropping as the animations of the characters. And finally, oh my goodness, Crackdown 3. Okay, let me tell you something before I proceed. I'm not one of those Crackdown haters. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Crackdown is the greatest game ever made and you should play it right now. If you don't believe that I've completed Crackdown 1 and 2, near 100% completion, look at my achievements. Crackdown 3, a lot of people were waiting to actually see Crackdown 3 gameplay. And to me, it looks great. I'm in there. If I had an Xbox, it's a day one purchase. But what happened to the destruction? Like, maybe the trailer didn't really do a good job portraying the destruction that the game has going for it as a selling point. They didn't really... But the trailer that they showed didn't really display anything different than Crackdown 1 and 2. I don't know. Like, I guess I'm gonna have to just see developer interview because they didn't really show much destruction. I feel like they still haven't shown enough. But as someone who's completed Crackdown 1 and 2, I would get the game. Then they showed like a game montage. I wrote them here. The games that stuck out to me: Unruly Heroes looks like a awesome side-scrolling beat-em-up or hack 'em slash. That looks pretty cool. Robot Craft, which anyone who's grew up on the PS1 or Sega Saturn, reminded me of RoboPit. Riverbound, which looks a lot like 3D Dot Game Heroes, the indie version. And then Shift, this beautiful looking hack and slash game, kind of reminded me of the Dishwasher. Other games didn't really call out to me in that game montage. Then they showed another Dark Souls style game. This one looks good though. It's called a Shin. You know, at first when they started the trailer, I thought it was Below, the game that they showed off. I think it was the E3 2013 when the Xbox One price and release date was announced. Below looked awesome, and I thought this was like some sort of Below game or reworked, but it looked like a co-op style Dark Souls games with a little bit more realistic, if that makes any sense. It looks awesome. You guys gotta check it out. It's called a Shin, unless I'm butchering the name. Then they showed Life is Strange. Well, it's not Life is Strange 2. It's like I guess an expansion, which looks pretty cool. Shadows of Mordor 2, Shadows of War. I beat the first game, right? I did as much as I could in the game. You guys can check my trophies if you don't believe me. And the reason why I say check my trophies is because there's a lot of people on YouTube who they like to get hyped for games that they never beat. Like for instance, they'll be hyped for Shadows of War, but they never even completed Shadows of Mordor, which is weird to me. But believe it or not, there's a lot of YouTubers out there like that. So I try not to get hyped for sequels on games that I've never beat the game prior. But Shadows of War, it looks a lot better than Shadows of Mordor, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I forced myself to beat Shadows of Mordor. After a while, it was just so repetitive. The graphics were just so colorless. And the combat was... I played all the Batman games. I played a lot of Assassin's Creed games, and Shadows of Mordor just wasn't doing it for me. But I did complete it. And this one is colorful. And even the cast. I mean, I can't say the cast is colorful because it seems like your party is customizable. Overall, it does look like an improvement over the first. I still don't know if I'll get the game. I guess I'm just gonna have to wait on how it scores overall. And then they showed the game Ori 2. Ori and the Blind Forest was critically acclaimed and enough to warrant a sequel. And this one looks even more beautiful. Now, I've never played it. I've barely seen any gameplay. All I know is that it's a platformer. And then they started talking about backwards compatibility and how we still don't got Radiant Silvergun up in there. But it's good to know that the original Xbox is also getting some love because Crimson Skies is coming out. And I also hope Otogi is coming out, Panzer Dragon Orta, the original Ninja Gaiden, which is basically the best Ninja Gaiden game. You know, PlayStation, you really need to take note because this is kind of sad. Then they showed off the price tag, as I mentioned before, $499, 500 smackaroos, which is the price the original Xbox One came out with, right? I think it's not a bad price, especially when you look at what the Xbox One X is doing. I feel like the Xbox One X, for the amount of money that you're paying, I don't believe that you can build a PC that's as powerful as that. Because when you look at the 1080 Ti, that card I think is like $500–600. And yeah, that card is much more powerful than the Xbox One X. You can play Tekken 7 in 4K 60 frames with just that one card. But that one card costs as much as the Xbox One X. I don't think I'll jump on board for the Xbox One X right away. I'm gonna have to wait a little bit because, as you can see here, I have a son. And, yeah, I don't think I can get an Xbox right now. I feel like over time, after the price drops of 50 to 100 bucks, it's gonna have a good value for that price. Then they showed the last game of the show. A game called Anthem from BioWare, the original team behind the Mass Effect series. Not that Andromeda crap game, Anthem looks pretty impressive. It looks like... I feel sorry for the team that did Andromeda, because this looks like it's Andromeda on acid. The graphics look impressive. One thing I'll say though is in the beginning of the trailer that they showed, the conversation that they were having was 100% CG. I don't believe that that's in-game character models, because it just looked too much like CG. But then when they switched over to them entering these suits, right, it just looked amazing. Incredible it looked. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Oh my goodness. I thought it was gonna be a lot like Destiny, but after just seeing the gameplay style, wow, it looked amazing. And when they went underwater, give me a five. Give me a pound. When they went underwater, oh, yo, the graphics were crazy when they went underwater. It ended. No Halo, no Gears. That was it. They didn't show their usual set of games with the exception of Forza. This is why I say that the Xbox brand in general is changing. Everyone's saying that Xbox is attempting to grow out of the bro gamer. This show proved that, and I think it's pretty cool. If I were to pick games of the show, that would have to be Dragon Ball FighterZ, of course, Super Lucky's Tale, and Cuphead. I would say Ori 2, but they didn't show any gameplay. Guys, I would like to know what you think of the Xbox One X. What do you think of the Xbox E3 2017 press conference? What was your favorite game of the show? And I'll also be making a video on Sony's and Nintendo's press events. I will not be making one on Bethesda, and let's just not talk about EA's, shall we? Guys, I'm gonna end the video here. Later. I'm like...